All right, so we have the camera on,
Countdown.
and we are getting ready to go live on Facebook.
All right.
So Miss Vicki is the producer,
Yeah.
director, cinematographer.
All right. We're gonna go live, and I'm gonna hit live, and it's gonna go 3, 2, 1.
Okay. All right. We appear to be on Facebook Live. Is that
what
correct?
that means? When Vicki goes like this, we're live.
Yes, that means start talking or just look like a fool. So, good morning, everybody on Facebook. We are doing our live training session, LTS, for those of you that that don't know.
With young Eric and old Dave.
Yes, so Dave, it is true. Dave is alive. He is back.
Any reports of my demise has been grossly exaggerated. I am almost still alive.
So we are for those of you that are on Facebook and for those of you that aren't, we are also filming with our camera. So if the picture goes bad, if there's not enough quality, because we're filming Facebook Live with our iPhone, if that film doesn't come out quite right, within the next few days, probably early in the week, we'll have it up on YouTube, and we're filming with our camera simultaneously.
And don't get the idea that we're shifty-eyed, because once in a while we'll switch from camera to camera, but we're not being shifty about it. It's just what we have to do.
Yeah. So we've had comments like, you never look at the camera. Well, that's because we're basically talking to the live audience. But
Gary Leonard from Scotland.
Gary Leonard from Scotland. Wow, cool. I know we got
an order today from South Korea.
Yeah, someone from South Korea ordered today. Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to want layout letters in Korean.
I hope not. I hope not. So here's how the format is going to go, guys. Dad's going to do kind of his thing first, and then
I want to talk a little bit about bases and handles and some other stuff.
And then I will come on and get this carpet out of the way and do some demo on something I've been thinking about. So hopefully this will be of value to you. So I guess there's no reason to delay. Oh, this is the first one of 2017. So we'll be doing this same type of broadcast every last Saturday of the month, probably through October-ish, somewhere around there, if it all works out well.
Yeah,
so,
we're planning on getting a new studio too. Our little studio here is just a tiny building, and we're planning on getting a bigger, better studio, but that's sometime down the road.
Yeah, sometime later in the year. All right, so Dad, I guess you're up.
Okay.
Go ahead and do your thing.
To begin with, I've got some questions lately about can I make different handles, or can we put different handles on the router bases that I make? As most of you know, I designed these acrylic router bases for different style of palm routers, the Bosch and the Rigid and the DeWalt and the Porter Cable.
And the Makita.
And the Makita. Now, I don't make different handles. The handles that I make are like this handle right here. Any of you that's got any of these bases that I made, this is the handle that I put on them. And when I put it on, what I do is the bottom disc on this acrylic disc, I glue that on so it's glued to this base for extra strength. And these other two little spacers here are not glued on. So theoretically, you could take this handle off if you want to. These two little discs here would fall off, and you could pop this one off by using a screwdriver or a knife, and you could put a different kind of handle on. Now here's some handles that I made. This one I bought at Lowe's. It's just a standard handle, but it's a little bit bigger than the one that I put on. I'm not going to put any other kind of handles on these bases. But I just want to let you know that if you want to put different handles on, if you don't like the ones that I put on, then there's several different kinds that you can put on. This one, for instance, is just a piece of wood, but it's pretty substantial. And this is just an item that I bought down at Lowe's. It had a 1/4-inch screw attachment in here, and what I did is I cut it off at this line right here so that I get a solid wood base on it, so that the screw will go into it and hold it on. So that's one thing that you could do. It could be anything like that. This one is just a 1-inch round dowel. I cut it off, then I drilled a hole in it, then I attached it just like I would the regular handle. And I do have a picture that a guy sent me that he used like 1.5-inch dowel like this, drilled it, and it's bigger and bulkier. I don't like doing that because I don't hold the router base like this. I just let the router do the work, and I use my hands on the board and just use my fingertips to guide it. But this whole thing is just to let you know that you're not restricted to the handles that I put on the base. If you like them, that's fine. If they work for you, that's fine. But if you want a different handle, the way the base is designed, it doesn't take much imagination for you to say, well, you could put a couple of chess pieces. You could get some chess pieces and put a king and a queen if you want to. It doesn't really matter. All you're doing really is you're making something that you can guide that router with. Okay, now having said all of that, I'm going to move on to something else that I've done. This is a base that's on this base plate. This is a base from a
Drill Master.
It's a Drill Master from Harbor Freight. Now, I can't drill this base, or I'll take that back. I could drill this base, but for now, if you have a Drill Master, now these are Harbor Freight routers. I think they're about 25 bucks, 26 bucks, something like that. And for a $25 or $26 item, this does a fair job. Eric will tell you a little bit more about that. But this base is just made entirely of acrylic, and it doesn't have the same metal base that most of the routers have, where we can run screws into it. So what I had to do is I took this base. This has got a kind of a dual base on it. I took the bottom part off, and the top part I used acrylic glue, and I actually glued this on the acrylic base plate that I make, and then I just countersunk it for the just teeny tiny screws that were already in that router base. For a $25 item that they import and sell for 25 bucks, you can imagine it's not really a substantial item, but the point is it works. And if you're on a fixed budget, a $25 router, especially if it's a throwaway router, and I think Harbor Freight is pretty good as far as their guarantees. So if the router goes out within 2 or 3 months, you can probably take it back and get another router. And once it's set up like this, you can just keep changing routers, and it'll probably work just fine for you. Now, you can send me the base. If you want to buy one of these, you can send me this housing. Don't send the whole router, just send the housing, and I can mount that on one of my bases. It's kind of a hassle, but I'll be glad to do it for you. I'll charge you $25 for the base. That's what the base costs. And I'll charge another $15 to mount this, because I have to drill a hole, I have to glue it on, I have to clamp it, and it's kind of a pain, but I can do it, and I can't do it for nothing. I'll do it for $15, which is not near as much as it's worth it in time. But so for $40, if you send me the housing, I'll modify it, put it on this base for you, so that, and then send it back to you. So instead of just paying $25 for the base, you pay $40 for the complete modification, and that's the cheapest I can do it. Now, I will say though that if I get a lot of requests for this, eventually I can start making bases for this, and then send you instructions on how you can mount it. But what you'll have to do is you'll have to get some screws that will fit, and it'll go up through there, and then you'll put a nut on it. and that would eliminate the problem of it being real fragile the way it is now. So,
Right.
So does that price include shipping?
No.
The $40?
No, the $40 is for
Plus
modification. Still $7.50 for shipping. I don't care if you
Domestically, in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S.
Yeah.
We don't ship outside of the country for $7.50. It's no matter where you are. If it's out of the country, it's going to be $35 shipping. But in domestic shipping in the U.S., it would be $40 plus $7.50, and that just sort of covers my time. But it's still the same price for the base and the handles. So.
And that being said, I tried this. I put a profile bit in this and tried it last night. I didn't have.
Can you tell again where the router came from?
This is a Drill Master, and this is a Harbor Freight $25 router. It's 2.4 amps, so it's less than half this is a 7 amp router, and that Rigid that I was using the other day I think is a, gosh, what was that, 5.5 amps. Anyway, but I have to say, I was kind of impressed with the jaw. It won't take near the stress and strain that this one will, but for somebody really on a tight budget, and again, you know, what Dad has done here is not anything that is rocket science. You could probably make your own and you know, do that yourself if you're on a tight budget.
Buy one of these bases and modify it yourself to fit.
Sure.
Because everything is there for you. You'd have the hole pattern, you drill the holes, you get a little screw. You have to countersink them so that the head of the screw will clear your wood, and then just put a little nut on it and tighten it up.
But it could be done.
Yeah.
It could be done.
The thing about these routers too, one nice thing about them is like the old routers, the old Black & Decker routers. If the brushes go out in them, the brushes are just go in through this screw hole. You can just pop that screw out, put a new brush in. So I don't know how long they'll last. I have no idea. We haven't had that much experience, but for the price, I'd say it was a pretty good bargain.
Yeah, actually, I was really surprised with how good. I went about 3/16 deep with a profile bit and cut through some pine, and it actually cut pretty good. So for light duty, I wouldn't do anything heavy with it, but for light duty, and I've had a couple people say that they used them. I really like to have a base plate with mine, but this is all I did to carve a couple little lines in a piece of pine, and it actually worked pretty well, better than I thought it would. But anyway, that's kind of our take on the little Drill Master.
Some people are saying that I'm out of focus. On my camera here, it looks absolutely focused, so I'm not sure what's going on. My everything shows up great here.
Yeah. So remember, guys, we'll have this on the YouTube channel. So if you can't see it, you'll have the video on the YouTube channel that you can go back and rewatch it.
On our big camera that I'm looking at right now, it's a big, expensive camera, and everything will be focused on that. So if you don't like what you see here, just be sure and watch the YouTube.
Yeah, give it a couple days, because this will be an hour-long video, and that'll take probably at least 24 to 36 hours to actually post onto YouTube. Okay, all right, Dad. Well, I think you're done. You go man the camera, and I'll make some sawdust here.
All right, son, I'm out of here.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Well, you're going to come back at the end. We're going to do a Q&A at the end.
Oh, well, that's next time.
Yeah, that's next time. You're right. Good point. All right. So take your stuff with you, please.
Gosh, take your stuff and be gone, huh?
Yeah, get your stuff and get the heck
I got
out
stuff
of
to
here.
do. I'm on a timeline here. Well, I could have done that.
Then why didn't you?
Because I wanted you to take it over there and put it on the shelf so it's not in my way. But that's all right.
Not your way.
I'll work around it,
Yeah,
like
do that.
always. All right. Grab the carpet for me, someone. Thank you. All right. So here is what I am going to do today. I'll get set up here. In the past, gosh, I was going to see what number that was. I forgot. But one of the first LTSs that we did, I did some carving of different backgrounds. And that's what I'm going to do today, but I'm going to do it on big inset letters. And I've created a kind of a couple different kinds of backgrounds that that I think came out pretty well, and I'll go through that. So we have, and we talked about this. I'm going to spray. I think, oh my gosh, I forgot to get those out of the. I'm going to need some in the
Heater.
drying cabinet. Yes, thank you, babe. Vicky's got to run an errand, so she'll be right back. Anyway, I'm going to do. Daryl, I know you're calling, but sorry, I'm not answering. Sorry about that, guys. We got a phone call coming in.
Where is the phone?
It's right in front of you. It's filming right now. That's what's ringing. Yeah. Daryl Brenneman is calling me, but I don't have time. Sorry, Daryl. You probably can't get online. So here's what I've got. I've got these. These are what actually going to be a new font. If you guys are interested in them, this is going to be a new font that we call. I think Vicky wants to call it Fatty Font. I think is what she wants to call this. Wanted to call it Fatty Font. Yeah. So the phone just rang.
Your phone?
Yeah. Daryl Brenneman was trying to call me. Anyway, so these are really neat letters. These are 5-inch, and I'm just going to carve these, but I'm going to carve them inset, and then do some different patterns on them that I kind of have been playing around with. See what you guys think. Hopefully. Should have pre-shook this. This, by the way, if you guys are wondering, in case you haven't seen, this is the Rust-Oleum primer that I use. I only use 2 different kinds of black. Rust-Oleum primer. Now, not paint primer, but Rust-Oleum primer. The paint primer bleeds. And then the other one is the Marsh ink, which, babe, can you hand me that can of blue Marsh ink back there? A few little fumes. So this is the Marsh ink. This is the blue, but I use the black in place of this. So both of them work really, really well. You can take both of those now, babe. Thank you. So that's how I do my layout. And I'll just get this stuff out of the way. And this is probably going to take a minute or two to dry, but I got to get set up. So I'm just going to carve these inset. Now you could carve these big letters like this. You really could carve them with any number of different bits. You can use the 60 degree, which is what I normally use for inset letters. But with big fat letters like this, where you've got all kinds of room, you could use the 90 degree background bit, the 90 degree V-groove, because it works well too. I think what I'll do is just kind of dab that primer a little bit. Got a little bit of. It's really cold here today, guys. Well, it's cold for us. Not for some of you guys, but for us, it's very cold this morning. So stuff is not drying like it normally would. So the fact that that kind of marked up in here really makes no difference. As long as I've got a line to go by, that's what really counts. So here's where I'm going to do this. I'm just going to use, I've been more and more, I've been using these sanding boards that I made. Or actually, these aren't sanding boards. These are boards that I used for putting 6x24s on to scallop to keep it up. But I put them on there and it kind of elevates it a little bit. And I like it. It actually works really well. All right, so, and then put on my magnifiers. So what we are going to do is we're going to carve these inset. see here. Probably wouldn't even need my, yeah, actually that's dry already. Good deal. All right, so I have got, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to carve this whole thing. I think, again, I could use a profile bit and go on the inside of these letters. I'm going to carve them inset. I could use a profile bit and go on the inside, or I could use the 60 degree and go on the inside, or like what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to use the 90 for the whole deal.
How deep you carve?
Well, I've got it set there.
Eric got his magnifiers on Amazon. No, he got them from a friend who got them on Amazon.
Yeah, from Will Pena actually gave them to me, and I love them.
Hold on, let me.
I am set at about 3/16. A little bit less than 3/16. But you could go 1/4 of an inch easily. But I just don't. I don't need to.
You want to mention that depth gauge while you got it in your hand? There?
Oh, yeah, that's a depth gauge that that Dad came up with.
No, can't see it.
Oh, okay.
On the board.
That's a depth gauge that Dad came up with. Works really good. Actually, we're selling quite a few of them. $10 on the website.
Okay.
You can see them on there. All right. Let me put some, kind of clear off my base a little bit. I'm just using any kind of silicone spray. I put it on there and then I wipe off the excess just to make sure that my base is going to slide good on my board.
You're at 21 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we're running a little bit behind. My dad got a little long-winded. What a shock. But he hasn't been on film, so he missed you guys. All right. Let me get my little light.
And called throw Dad under the bus. Is that it?
Good at that, isn't he?
All right. So I've got my little light going here. I'm going to start up the router before my dad says anything embarrassing. Here we go. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting. So I really like this letter style because it's so not exact like the Clarendon style or even the Western style. You know, you've got to be right on the line. But if you're off of the line just a little bit one way or the other, it really makes no difference whatsoever. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to just use...
Same in if you have that in different sizes, would it be the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'll show. I did actually a test somewhere. Well, it's around here. So, oh, there it is. That's it. I just did some this morning. Actually, kind of played around with. These are 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch. And they carved really easy, man. I really like them. I really do.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it came out pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, what happened to my? Well, I'm just going to use my little router depth gauge as a straight edge. So what I'm going to do now is, you guys know what my normal background looks like. Well, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm just going to do some different kinds of patterns in these big inset letters. And now this same rule would apply for background of outset letters as well. Like you can see on one of our first, I think it's called different backgrounds. Now these lines that I'm doing here, all I'm doing, I'm not really going to follow these lines. These lines are just there. You can do different spacing. These lines are there really just for reference, to give me a reference. Now, this one here, what I'm gonna do, let me see.
You want your big ruler?
No, I think this is gonna be okay. This is this would be what I would call, this is one that I did the other day, and you guys will see what this looks like when it's all done.
They can't see it on this camera because your hand's in the way.
I know. Well, I'm gonna move my hand in just a second. So I'm just gonna kind of follow those lines for reference. And then this one, I'm gonna do, I'll get all my lines drawn first. I'm just using these for reference. If you guys haven't seen that other video, you can go back and watch that other video too. Oops, I forgot those lines, didn't I? Just gives you kind of a different idea of how you can, use your imagination and maybe do something just a little bit different. You guys know my normal background is kind of a circular, mostly random. All right, so let's just carve those lines and see how these things go by. And again, I'm just going to use these lines as reference.
30.
We're at 30 minutes? Okay, now what I'm going to do, and this is again one that I had done before. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back across the other way, a different direction, the other diagonal, and it really makes a really interesting pattern. I really need to do it more on customer signs because it looks really cool. Oops. Yeah, you get the idea there. So I'm kind of shaving a little bit off the time, guys, because we don't want to run too late. You know, you guys got plenty of stuff to do for a Saturday. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut those diagonals back the other direction. So you can see, actually by going the two different directions, diagonal both ways, it makes like a little star pattern in the background, which I found out accidentally. When I first did it, I thought, I don't know how that's going to look. I was trying to emulate like a baseball field when they mow it from two different directions, but it actually made a little star. So this just kind of gives you an idea, guys. You can play around with, and what I'll show you now is how these actually look when they're all carved and sanded off. So here is one. Let me see which ones these are. Yeah, here's the star pattern here on the S. And I'm not sure how this is actually with the iPhone, but I know the camera will pick it up well. So this is the S with the star pattern. This one, honestly, is just kind of a rounded, and all I did to draw those lines, I'll show you what I used to draw those lines. I just put that on there and drew those lines, working my way down, and just followed those. And then I did this is I guess a V pattern, and I did that the same way with that little router bit depth gauge. And then the other ones, here's a couple, 3 different ones, and these are just like the first one I did there. Well, this is vertical lines, horizontal lines, and then just straight diagonal lines. So it just tells you, and you know, you could whatever your imagination, you could do little circles, you could do little you know, little diamonds, little squares. You could do any kinds of different patterns that you can think of, as long as you've got a reference line to go by. It kind of just gives it a little bit different look. Are we running low?
You want coffee, or if you want
coffee questions. I could use some coffee right now, actually. Coffee sounds pretty good as cold as it is out here. So anyway, that's what I wanted to really show today, guys, is those kinds of patterns. And I would have done those all the way through, but we are running a little bit behind on time. But have we got some questions to answer?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Dad.
You can just leave that, Dave. I can fix it.
Vic will take that camera, come on over and have a seat, and we'll answer some questions.
So you want me back in front of the camera again? Huh?
I do, yes. Well, it's not me, it's the audience wants you back.
You're gonna clear this bench off so I don't get dust all over me. You know,
Sure.
I can't stand this. So
There you go. There you go.
Makes me sneeze.
Guys, pay attention to my signal.
Okay, pay attention to your signals.
Pay attention to
Usually, are they one finger signals?
Not today. Today's a good day. So
Yeah. So does does everything look good from the broadcast? Scoot over this way. Okay.
How am I doing, boss?
you're doing good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Q&A time.
Eric, you're a big meanie, says David Doe.
Who said? Oh, Dave.
Yeah. All right, guys, bear with me. I gotta scroll way up here, see what kind of questions. Oh, good golly. Okay.
This is my favorite part. I love the Q&A
All right,
stuff.
So let's see. We have a bunch of people here today.
Great.
Let's see.
Welcome everybody.
From Texas. Good morning, Dan.
Who's from
Ohio.
Texas?
Oh, I don't know. I passed it up.
Oh,
There's lots.
Yeah, New York. Dana Allison from
Dana.
New York.
Yeah.
Um,
Hi, Dana.
Hold on. Got a bunch of questions. Oh, Scotland.
something from Scotland. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, is that
from
Gary?
Scotland.
Doesn't matter.
Gary
who's in
Leonard.
Austin.
David
Bob
Guerrero.
Wills is still the king.
David Guerrero says good morning. She,
Hey, David.
Good morning. Good morning.
Tell Nicole and the kids I said hi.
Mississippi, North Carolina.
Wow.
Okay, hold on. I got to go through all of them, and there's a bunch of them to find the questions. So bear with me.
So you guys, by the way, while Vicky's doing that, I know there's going to be tons and tons of comments on the Facebook post, and I try and go through all. I do go through all of them, but I may not answer each one individually because it's really time consuming.
Manteca.
Lathrop and Manteca.
Chester Smith.
Chester Smith. Chester Smith.
I knew a Chester Smith, but it wouldn't be the same one.
The country music guy, the Chester Smith was right. Wasn't he a country music guy over in the valley over there,
Yeah,
San Joaquin Valley?
yeah,
Wasn't he the old time country music guy?
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway,
Marcus,
probably different guy. Marcus.
Devaux.
I know that name.
He
Yeah.
says, man, I need
Devaux.
to set aside some time and get my first sign done. Kent Cogan, good morning.
Morning, Kent.
Calvin Flood, good morning from Texas. John Turner from West Texas.
Weren't
Wow.
these supposed to be questions?
Yeah.
I'm
what happened to
trying
the
to-
questions?
I'm
I'm
just
sorry.
making
there's
conversation.
that one.
Yeah.
Figure
That
Yeah,
was-
there it
that was
is.
Not that one, the bad one though.
No
Okay.
kidding. She rushed us to say we got questions. Yeah.
Let's see, Frank Jenkins says the handles fit perfectly. Oh, Alberta, Canada.
Wow.
We ought to do these more often.
I guess Ken Cogan says that little router was his first router.
Oh, the little drill master.
Yeah, David Doe said he wished they had Harbor Freight in Canada.
I
Kevin
didn't know they didn't.
Cuthbertson
Yep.
said he just bought his first belt sender. Bruce Peters says, good morning, Golden Valley.
I think you Canadians,
morning,
I
Bruce.
believe you could probably order Harbor Freight stuff online to ship to Canada. I'm not sure.
I don't
but
know.
I believe you probably could.
I don't know. I'm kind of surprised Harbor Freight isn't up there.
I am too, but then
They're all over down here.
Okay, Deborah Oceanbine says, does it fit a DWP 611? That we're still talking about that, but
The base.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have the base plate. That's the one we sell the most of is the DWP 611 base plate. So we have that, Deborah.
I guess some people were having glitches. But
Oh,
that
early on?
That wasn't ours. So.
Okay. Might have been.
All right, hold on. Don't know. You got people answering the questions. That's awesome.
Okay. Cool.
There's so many here. I'm trying to get through.
we ought to get a monitor. We can have the questions scroll on the monitor.
Yeah, like your monstrosity Kindle. Would
Yeah, your
probably
big
work.
Kindle or something. Yeah.
Monstrosity Kindle.
Kindle.
That's my third fire. That's what I call it. My third Kindle. The other two got lost. I guess they burned up.
Yeah. A lot of people made comments about said it's cold here, but they're
Yeah, they're below below freezing probably.
Yeah, it must be somewhere around 50 degrees here.
20
It's
degrees
freezing.
and 20 degrees. Doug Blake, 20 degrees. Danielle Yotis said it's cold if it's 70 degrees. 24 degrees in Wisconsin. Eric got his magnifiers from, go ahead and answer that one.
Oh, I got my magnifiers. Will Pena gave me those magnifiers, but I know people are finding them on Amazon, and it's a certain brand. Says READEER, I believe, if I remember right. So let's say REA.
Yeah, reader, READAEER.
Yeah, yeah.
Dan Yotis is typically you would use the 618 with the 90-degree bit. Any reason why you're using the 611?
Yeah, I know. I'm breaking my own rules that I've always said that I do the background with the 618, the bigger one. I'm kind of waffling on that a little bit. If I don't have a huge lot of work to do, these little 611s are just great routers, and I've seen them in heavy duty operations in different machines, CNC machines and different things, so they'll definitely do the work. There's no doubt about that. They don't have quite near the power that the 618 does, but if I was doing a big sign, I would definitely be using the big 618. But for the little jobs like this, I will. I'm breaking my own rule.
Yeah, for the cuts that he made, that's the same as making small inset letters. So
yeah, so it wasn't bad.
It's not putting any strain on that 611 router at all.
Okay.
It's just not moving huge amounts of material like you would if you wanted to use the 618.
All right, Frank Jenkins. Counterclockwise cutting on the outside edges of the bead, but clockwise around the inside circle. Why?
Because it's the same direction.
Yeah, if you just look at it, it looks like it's counterclockwise and clockwise, but it's really the same direction because one is inside and one is on the outside of the letter. I know that's confusing, but that's the way it is.
But however, I don't really even think about that much more, Frank, is that back in the old days when we first started carving signs, we were using redwood, old growth redwood, and Dad learned and started doing everything clockwise. Well, we found out that by going, this is outset letters, by going counterclockwise because of the rotation of the bit, if we go counterclockwise, you had less chance in chipping. But the cedar, the pine, I never have any chipping anymore. So it really is not, I'm going to switch it over to the camera, it really isn't even an issue. I go both directions now, it really makes no difference at all. I like the idea of having the cut in front of me, so many times, like you saw the middle of the bees, I went down the edge and then I went back to the top and I came down. I like pulling the router to me a little bit better than pushing away because the line is in front of the bit. So counterclockwise or clockwise, if you're using cedar or the pine, even the redwood that I use these days really doesn't make that big a difference. Redwood is chippier, it has a more tendency to chip, but still not very much.
Especially if it's straight grain. If
it's really grainy,
it doesn't chip as much, but straight grain it just has a tendency to chip a little more.
Okay.
Of course, the redwood that we used to use was all kiln dried. And the material we use now is mostly air dried. So it's got a little higher moisture content. Makes a difference. That's true.
Okay. Yeah. Gene Goss says, you're amazing, Eric.
Thank you, Gene.
Brenneman said had trouble getting on session. He's here now.
Is that our cattle call, Gene?
Yeah.
That's our, that's our,
hey,
right here in Golden Valley.
Reitzner, he said, normally when using the 90 degree, you switch to the bigger router.
Yeah.
Is it only when you're doing your normal background and scallop that you feel and it cut off? So.
Yeah, scalloping, definitely. I would not use my 611 for scalloping.
For heavier cut.
Because that's pulling out so much wood all at one time. Again, I've kind of waffled on that a little bit. Once in a while, if I'm doing just a little bit, like what I've done here, I like the feel of the 611s a little more, or the Porter Cable 450, same thing. I'll go ahead and use the background bit if I've got it in there. But if I was doing a big sign like that big big bar 30/30 sign or a big sign where I'm doing a lot of cutting, then I would definitely shift to the 618.
Yeah, it just depends on the workload on the router. If you're moving a lot of material, use a heavier router. If you're just making light cuts, even though you're doing a lot of them, the 611 or the 450 is nice routers.
Okay.
Okay.
Juan Torres, would you charge more for the different texture look?
You know,
Hi, Gail.
it's a little bit more time consuming just because you've got to, put your reference lines, but I don't think I would. I don't think I would. It just gives it a better or a different look. I don't think it takes really that much more time to do it. So I don't think I would charge more for it.
It all depends. If you're going to do a real intricate background, like a Rosetta or something like that, you might charge marginally more for it, but it really doesn't take that much more time, and you're making a very attractive sign. So kind of use your own judgment. If it takes a lot of time, if you come up with something new and it takes a lot of time, you can charge a little more for it. Other than that, just make as nice a sign as you can for the price.
All right, Richard Boyce Sr. When outlining a letter, I have to turn the sign around so my router is not in the way. I cannot see the router in between me and where I need to go. I noticed you don't need, but I don't know what else he said because it cut off.
Huh. Well, I'm almost thinking he's referring to like what I was talking about is pulling the router toward me, and that way the bit is not in the way. So I'm thinking he meant to say router bit is not in the way. If you're pushing the router and you're carving going away from you, you're cutting. What you want to cut is on the other side of the bit. So I think that's what he's referring to. If it's not, then let me know. But I'm guessing that's what he's referring to.
I'm thinking so too, and it doesn't hurt if it makes it easier for you to carve the router or carve the sign. Pick your router up and turn the board around. If it's visually better for you, do it. That doesn't hurt anything. You can. You're the sign cutter. Whatever works for you to make the best possible sign. If you need to turn it around so you get a better view of what you're doing, hey, turn it around.
I've done that hundreds of times.
All right, yeah. Shane Eigler says the S almost looked like a push-button leather. Cool trick. Maria.
Oh, thank you.
Maria says very nice. Juan Torres, great demo. Jean Goss, you're a good teacher. What color?
Is that Maria with a TH?
TH.
She's in Cyprus. She's watching us from Cyprus. Hi, Maria. Yeah.
Okay. Jean says you're a good teacher that covers all the bases.
Thank you.
Eric, you're a big meanie. Bruce Peter says, Rich Boyce, if Eric misses your question, it'll come with practice. You're not missing anything. His base is cut out on back to allow extra light in.
Uh-huh.
Well, the housing.
The housing.
Yeah, we an inch and a half hole saw that I go down through this metal housing, and I cut that out for better light and for exhausting the sawdust. Lets the sawdust fly.
So
out.
when you buy this is not opened up. Now that's a cool thing about the Ridgid is it is open in the backside. But anyway, yeah, for the 450 and the 611, we have to open these up.
We made a video on how to do that too.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah. You actually showed one with doing it with a hacksaw.
Yeah,
and not a drill press.
Frank Jenkins says, "Dang good to see and hear you, Dave."
I'm telling you, they've been
good to be here.
Terry Ross,
they've been missing you.
Dave, we love you. You're a great guy. Terry Kiesler, how would I determine pricing for signs?
Okay, we have lots of different videos on that, but basically you got to figure out what you're going to charge per square foot. Back in the old days, we were around $25, $30, $40 a square foot way back when. Now, because I kind of almost price myself to the point where I don't want to be as busy making signs, being as we're kind of video makers now. Now I'm around $70 a square foot, but there's a formula for that. If you go to the channel search and I've done videos on that too. That's where our homepage is on our YouTube channel. There's a little magnifier, and if you just put pricing formula in that deal, you'll see actually probably half a dozen different videos. But basically, you got to figure out what your square footage is. This is the way we do it. Figure out what your square footage is, and then multiply that times your square footage. But don't tell your customer what you're charging them per square foot. Just figure it out and then tell them, because they get freaked out when they hear 30, 40, 50,
Yeah,
60.
if you have a sign that's 6 inches by 24 inches, that's 1 square foot. And if you're going to charge $35 or $40 a square foot, then tell your customer it's either $35 or $40. Don't tell him it's $40 a square foot. For some reason that frightens customers. It sounds like a huge amount of money when in fact it's not. So just price, you figure the price per square foot, and then you multiply that by whatever price you want to charge per square foot. If it's $35 or $40 or $45, which is not unreasonable. The more detail that you put into a sign, the more per square foot that you'll charge. If you're doing a lot of fancy scroll work, or you're doing graphics, if you're doing cartoons, anything that you do that's in addition to the letters and the text, then you charge a little bit more per square foot. That's something that you have to determine. But that's how you do it. You figure the square foot of the sign, and then you charge per square foot. You quote that price to your customer. Don't tell him per square foot, just that's the price for the sign.
Okay. Matthew Jocelyn, doing the star background, are you worried about tear out?
No, not really. I'm not worried about it. My cutters are real sharp. I keep them real sharp and clean. And the materials that I tend to use don't have a lot of tear out tendencies. It can happen. Certainly it can happen. But the cedar or the pine, I just don't, my moisture content in my board is down low enough that I don't have hardly any tear out.
And if it does tear in the background, so it's not really a problem. If it tears out on the surface of the letter, it would be, but in the background, that's not really, once it's done and finished, it's not really a problem.
Gary Owen from Wales.
Gary.
Ron Moore from
The Prince of Wales.
Layton, Oklahoma. God, people from all over.
That's so cool.
Bobby Lee Russell says, we've missed you, Dave.
Bobby Lee. Yeah.
I didn't know you were shooting.
Good morning from Seabrook, New Hampshire. This is Gregory Worrell. Us older guys get away with saying what we want as long as we smile after. Don't leave that open for him there.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me one time and said, "Will you miss me?" And I said, "Only if somebody bumps my arm and spoils my aim." That was my wife, by the way.
Tim writes, sir, have you guys ever thought about doing a tutorial on a standard 6x24 sign with the template, the last name on the top, outside letters, and the first name on a typical sign?
I think we have.
I think we have. Yeah, we have done that.
Yeah.
Look for, in the channel search, look for carving a sign start to finish or something like that. But I don't know if it had the pattern on there. But
well, I know it did on either one of the videos that we made. The videos we sell.
The DVDs,
the DVDs, but I'm not. I think we must have done it on YouTube. I mean,
gosh,
my God, we got 500 videos.
Yeah,
we must have done it.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe we'll have to do that. Yeah.
Frank Jenkins asked if we could remember and pray for Dave Hedrick today. His mother passed away this morning.
I read that on Facebook. Absolutely.
So,
I didn't hear that question.
Dave Hedrick's one of our students. His mother passed away today. He was actually on the road to go see her and didn't make it there in time. It was very sad, very tragic.
Jennifer Gunther from Boonesboro, MD. Where's MD?
Maryland.
Boonesboro?
Thank you so much for your encouragement and leadership in this community of sign makers.
Thank you.
Hey,
you're absolutely welcome.
We do.
West Virginia.
I lived my whole life, 83 years, in order to get to the point where we can do this. This is our pleasure. Whatever we can do to help y'all, that's what we do.
Greg Worrell says, have you ever tried carving in the dark?
I'm in the dark most of the time.
Yeah, I do a lot of things in the dark, but carbon ain't one of them.
You opened that door, Greg.
Jennifer also asked, love the base plate, but would suggest larger handles. I replaced the handles you sent with it.
Well, like I said in that video you can, earlier, you can put, you know, you don't need to use the handles that I put on them, but I don't put any bigger because there's just so many possibilities.
Yeah.
But it's not difficult putting bigger handles on that router, on that base plate. It's really a fairly simple job.
Okay, Benny Gavin says he missed the earlier part of the thing, but what type of bit and depth for the backgrounds that you use?
Okay, so I pretty much kept it the same depth. This is the bit that I use. This is our 90-degree V-groove, 2 fluted, 1/4 inch solid carbide. This is the one that I use for all the backgrounds, and I think I said it was around 3/16, a little less than 3/16. Could have very easily been through anywhere from 3/16 to a 1/4 inch deep for everything that I did.
If I were doing that, I believe I would go a 1/4 inch deep. Maybe do an extra deeper around the outside, and then go a little bit deeper on the back. It almost would give it an island effect, but that's
Okay, I'm going to answer this one.
Okay.
Daryl Brenneman asked can you send me a depth gauge? The depth gauges are on the Make a Wood Sign website. If you can just go on there and order it,
then we'll send it.
and we'll send it.
Yeah. That's all you gotta
Rich
do.
Boyce Senior, my first LTS. Very cool watching you all. Rich Boyce. Okay.
Well, it's cool to be here.
Is this my first one? No, this is not my first one. With my memory, everyone's like the first one.
You meet a lot of new people.
Yeah, right.
Terry Roth asked about the new Fatty font. It's not on the website yet, but it will be. And it comes in the same sizes as all the other.
Yeah, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, and then we'll have 3, 4, 5, and 6. And any size in between if you want, just let us know. But they're really fun to carve. I mean, there's like no stress because if you're just close to the line, it's going to look great. I really like
Gary
it.
Horton said, Rick, I would like to see a demo on the 3D sign. On a 3D sign, saw one on Facebook this morning. That's really intrigued me.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What was it?
It was a 3D sign. It was like
3-dimensional?
Well, it was like a last name. You see them done on CNC machines where you have a long last name and then you have the individual names over the top of that carved. And so it's not necessarily 3-dimensional, although I guess technically it kind of is. But it looked pretty cool. It looked really cool, and it was done freehand.
Double overlay.
Yeah. But normally you see them done by CNC machines.
All right, we've got about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
Dave Stover, he says, I'm now cutting artwork into a lot of my woodworking. Thanks for the tips and getting images from free coloring books.
Great. Good job, Dave.
Stein, great video. Looking forward to getting my new bits. Renee Manning, good morning, family.
Good morning, sis. That's your daughter.
Yeah, what's the temperature up there? The last time I heard it was like 32 degrees below zero.
All right, Benny Gavin says, why sanding sealer?
Okay, I use sanding sealer only on pine, and the reason I use sanding sealer, this has got some sanding sealer on it, although I don't know if you can tell, but the reason I use sanding sealer on pine is because with that black spray that I spray on there, it tends to bleed into the board, especially if you overspray. But even if you don't overspray, the black tends to bleed into the grain and then you can't sand it out. When you put sanding sealer on first, like I always do on pine, then it sands right off and it stays on the top and you don't have any issues with it. So that's the reason. And again, use that channel search and just type in sanding sealer and you'll see me talk about sanding sealer at length.
Okay, somebody asked about a plunge router. Would you use a plunge router for that?
Plunge routers,
go ahead.
They're good for doing cutouts. That is, if you're cutting out shapes. They're good for what they're designed for, but they're not, we don't recommend them. And believe me, I've been doing this for 40 years. I don't recommend them for carving signs because you don't have control like you do with these smaller routers. They're just not good for fine detail work. They're great for hogging if you're cutting out shapes, are great. They're just not good, in my opinion. They're just not good for detail work, which is what you need for carving signs.
Okay, we are at an hour, but we've got a few more questions, so we'll continue for another 5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
Steve Olson, what would be the turnaround time if I sent my housing to Dave to modify?
Well, from the time I get it, it's 1 day back to you. So if you're not in outer Mongolia, you can probably figure somewhere around a week from the time you send it till you get it back. That's just an estimate.
Daryl Wilkerson, when starting out, what is a good number of different types of fonts to offer? Should I offer the option? I'm finding that I'm spending a lot of time in something.
When you're starting out, you only need one font when you're starting out, because you have to learn. And if you get the Clarendon font or the Western font to start with, once you learn those, then you can expand other fonts. But starting out, you ask what you need. All you need is one font to start with. I had one font for probably the first 5 years that I carved signs. I only used one font.
Richard Boyce says, have you ever charged by letter? Is that appropriate? Or
I don't, because Dad taught me way back when, long names, short names, it all kinds of evens out. You know, some signs you're going to do faster, you know, with the last name of Lee, but then you're going to have Abercrombie that is going to take you longer, but it all evens out. It really only takes you a few more minutes to carve a few more letters. So no,
and if you start carving by the letter, it takes you longer to figure out what to charge for the sign than it does to make the sign.
I don't have that many fingers to figure that out.
Ron Torres says, bring more LTS more often. Very informative. No, Juan. Once a month is enough.
Once we get into our new studio, now we may do it more often.
Once a month is enough. There's
no
a lot
promises.
that goes into
Yeah, you don't see what the stress that I go through, you know, days up to. You can always tell.
We have to put up with.
Yeah.
They have to medicate me before they let me on camera, so medications are too expensive.
Tim Reitzer, what's the charge for modifying the DWP 611 base, including shipping, domestic?
Okay, so
$25.
$25 for the base plate. If you want Dad to modify
That's what he's asking
the
about.
base,
The housing.
yeah, well then this is 25 to have Dad cut this, and then the base plate is 25.
Well,
so
and it's $7.50 shipping, no matter what you buy or.
yeah, if you're domestic.
One-time charge. You can order $300-400 worth, and it's still only $7.50.
As long as you're domestic, it's a $7.50 flat ship.
Yeah, but I charge $25 for modifying
That
that
was
base.
the question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Is that it?
Yeah, if you have
Okay.
any other questions, send me an email or send Eric an email and he'll answer them.
Yeah, yeah. All right, you guys. Well, that's the LTS for this month, so we'll do it again next month. We'll be back on YouTube. This will, again, it takes so long to process and post a 1 hour video, so it's probably going to be, it probably won't be in the next day or two, but it'll be early in the week that we'll have this up. But one way or the other, we'll be back for Coffee and Questions on Monday morning.
And you planned all this?
No, Vicky did. I just showed up.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that is it. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for all the support, all the business you guys send us. You keep us going. Thanks for watching our videos. All of the great comments and just all the love we get from you guys on a regular basis is just overwhelming sometimes. So we sure appreciate it.
Tracy.
All right, good night, you guys. We'll see you on Monday morning. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.